Welcome back to 556 Media. We are back in the shop, but on my dirty workbench, not the good one. And we're talking about my hiking pack. What I wear every time I go hiking, and I only hike in the mountains. Let's get into it. All right, so one of the first things you'll probably notice, there's a USGI or U.S. government issued military canteen. Every time I go out, this thing is full of fresh water. Very, very important to have water. And it just clips. I have one of the USGI attachment clips on there. It just makes it a little bit easier. Yes, I could shove it into a side pouch or add a MOLLE carrier for that, but why bother? This has worked fine for many years. Up next, you'll notice, two-way radio, Baofeng UV5 something, I can't remember, but very inexpensive yet very effective. When I hike, whoever goes hiking with me has the other one. It's usually Mrs. Smith, and they are very effective for scanning weather, emergency frequencies, and in case of emergency, for actually using it to transmit for help. So very lightweight, attaches right onto the MOLLE system on this pack, which we'll get into, and yeah, just a good thing to have. So as you can clearly see, readily accessible on the outside, the knife, and this is a Glock field knife, and I prefer this because it is well manufactured. It has a straight blade on one side, but it has saw teeth on the other, so I can use it for cutting small branches, cutting straps, if the straight blade doesn't work, things like that, cutting rope. You have two different styles of blade. You have your straight blade and an aggressive sawtooth blade, and it's very well made. Again, made by Glock. Yes, the Glock. So adopted by the Austrian Army, I think it was. But carry this, and the reason why I carry it in this position is so I can draw it downward from my left side using my right hand very easily. Yes, it's a multi-use tool, both for utilitarian purposes and self-defense. Very well constructive, reliable. It does work, so you can check them out for yourself. The Glock field knife. The next thing that's clearly visible in this built-in pouch is a set of gloves, and they're lightweight gloves. They're actually mechanics gloves, not that I'm paid or sponsored by them. I'm actually wearing some now. But if you're going hiking, if you're going out in the wilderness, you need some type of protection. I only go during the spring and summer months, early fall, when it's warmer out. But regardless, you need some type of protection for your hands. I don't care if it's for cold weather or the environment you're in. You need some type of protection. They weigh nothing and they provide some level of protection. So always carry gloves. Moving on around the pack, you will see that it is a MOLLE based pack with zippers and blah blah blah, things like that. You'll notice there's a couple areas. If you decide to carry a hydration pouch, say a water pouch, and run a tube through, there are two different access routes to run your tube, or if you want to run comms for your radio through this system, you can do that too. I don't do that. I don't do either, but you have that option in this pack. And as I said, it's a MOLLE based system. There is Velcro in several spots, and there's my evil medical aid, tactical medical aid pouch. Have that, and that's in case I have that patch there in case run across somebody that recognizes that as being medical and needs help, and they can say, hey, that guy's got medical gear or knows something about medical aid, first aid, that type of thing. So that's why that's on there. Just a sign for others to see. But you can see a general spin around the bag. That's the exterior in a nutshell. The one important thing I will note, this does have a torso clip system, so it makes it a little bit easier while you're hiking. Takes a little bit of weight off your back. Also keeps the bag from moving around or shifting around too much. I do prefer having that, and I do utilize it every time. So obviously the question is, what's in your bag? Well, I'm going to show you. And you can tell it's a Molly style bag. It is camouflage. That's for a reason. As I said, I hike in the mountains. It's like the digital pattern, so everything kind of goes with that as far as the exterior and the accessories I carry on the exterior. But it has multiple compartments, and we'll get into the first one right now. So one thing many people need to know, this bag for me is designed to be more than a 24-hour bag. This should last me 48 to 72 hours, say in an emergency situation. But that's how I'm trained, and that's how I equip this bag. You make your own decisions, get your own training, figure it out for yourself. So we'll go on from there. All right, so this very top pouch, and remember, we always want, if we're carrying a pack, we want things to be readily accessible. So if you don't have to take off your pack to say, I don't know, grab your canteen, grab your gloves, grab your comms, grab your knife, that's great. That's awesome. Sometimes you're going to have to take off your pack to reach certain compartments. Well, most compartments. So this top one, I'd have to take my pack off for. This one, pretty simple. I have a couple lighters, because fire starting, remember, 1 is none, 2 is 1. And there's more fire starting stuff in here, because survival. And because I'm old, I have a spare pair of glasses. And like I said, this is basically geared for more than 24 hours, up to 72. But it is what it is. But I always think it's pretty important to be able to see. So that's why I included a spare pair of glasses in my pack. I'll be wearing them on the hike too, so I'll have 2. Remember, 1 is none, 2 is 1. All right, so we talked about being able to access the gear in your pack, and in this case, whether I take it off or I have another hiker with me, which I always do. This is a readily accessible small pouch for my back. My hiking partner can just open the zipper up, and if I need 550 cord, I've got 50 feet of it, brand new. I have a small flashlight, I think it's LED, yeah, it's an LED flashlight, but I also kept it in the pouch in case I have to remove it from the pack to leave my pack somewhere and take the light. I can just throw it on my belt or wherever. And this, a lot of people don't recognize this. Yeah, it's a pill bottle, but it's stuffed with cotton swabs soaked in Vaseline. So that's a fire starting material. So especially in damp or wet environments, you can use this to extend your flame and heat up for a more prolonged period of time the wood or whatever else you're trying to burn. But yes, it's an old pill container. Labels are off, so there's nothing illegal about it. But labels are off. It's well sealed. It's safe from rain and things like that. But yes, cotton swabs mixed with Vaseline. So very small to carry. It weighs virtually nothing. So fire starting material. Remember, 2 lighters up here. I got fire starting material here already in my pack. So just an idea. So I want to touch briefly on the paracord, and yes, this is still new in the wrapper. I'm going to hide the manufacturer's name. This is actually legit 550 cord. 550 cord is cordage, and that should be one of your primary pieces of gear that you keep in any pack, whether it's a hiking pack, a go bag, a get home bag, whatever you want to call it. It's 550 cord, so I can use this for building structures, fishing, repairing bootlaces, shoelaces, things like that. There are so many uses for 550 cord. Check it out on Google or YouTube. You'll find out what 550 cord is all about. I carry 50 feet at a minimum. So there's that. So getting on to the large outer compartment on the rear of the pack, and before I get into it, I will say when I opened this up, things just started to dump out because I wasn't paying attention. And one thing to note is when you're zipping up your pack, keep your zippers to the side. I don't care whether it's left or right, because if you get caught in a storm, whether it's rain or snow, the zippers kind of tend to prevent a lot of moisture and water from getting into your pack. So you keep them to the side, and the water tends to run off either side along the zipper. Just a quick tip. So let's get into this part. All right, so this outer pack, or this outer compartment, this outer compartment is going to be readily accessible to me if I take the pack off, but it's going to be readily accessible to someone else that is with me, or someone that happens upon me. Of course, we have your standard light sticks, your glow in the night light sticks. I carry two, again, redundancy. They come in handy, they last a long time. It's a good way to have light if your other means of light don't exist or are non-functioning. Also a good way of locating you from a rescuer's perspective, that type of thing. These types of lights have so many uses. Trail markers, I can't even get into everything. The other thing I have is a small portable kit, and just like the other flashlight it showed you, this one is compact. It has its own belt clip, so if I need to dump my pack and carry on, I have a multi-tool and yet another flashlight. It's a little flashlight in there with a multi-tool. This one's a Leatherman, I forget the model, and a little LED flashlight, single battery flashlight. So I can pop that out of the kit, pop it on my belt, pop it on the side of my pants, my shorts, whatever I'm wearing. I usually wear long pants when I hike, but it's right there. Just pop it right out, dump the pack, take this, put it on my side, and roll out. So it's always good to have a multi-tool, but again, redundancy and light. There's a flashlight, so we have that. Moving on, because of where I live and where I hike, I do have a snake bite kit. This is not your standard little rubber one that comes with a razor blade and iodine or whatever it is, and you try to plunge the venom out. This is a more advanced one, but because we do have venomous snakes where I live and hike, I just have a little advanced one. So yes, it does take up more space, but it's worth the investment. And let's move on from snakes. All right, so on this side of the pouch, I have a little combination fork spoon type thing for eating, obviously. Very cheap. It's plastic. It's like a Walmart special thing in their camping aisle, but it's always good to have a utensil, especially something like a combination like this for like $1, whatever it was I paid. It's good to have this in the pack, because if you're stuck in a survival situation, you're going to want to need something to eat food with, and it might not just be your knife or multi-tool that you're going to eat the food with. Also in the same pouch, I have what's called an MRE accessory pouch, or meal ready to eat accessory pouch. That contains matches. Starting to see redundancy here. We have a thing of toilet paper, we have coffee, we have hot sauce, we have, I can't remember if that's creamer or tea. I can't remember. We have a bunch of little things in here that was taken out of a military meal ready to eat. Just some extra items to have. Takes up no space, no weight, just good to have. And speaking of redundancy, because there was toilet paper in that little accessory pack, why not carry a little thing of Puffs? Puffs Kleenex, all kinds of purposes. Wipe your nose, wipe your butt, start a fire. Puffs. Doesn't weigh anything. Takes up no space. Takes up no space at all. Very valuable. And finally, in this pouch, oh look, a magnesium fire starter. So it's got a built-in ferro rod. You've got this block of magnesium. You've got a ferro rod built in. You've already got a knife, right? And you've got a multi-tool in here. So we already have 2 lighters, a pack of matches, blah, blah, blah. Now we have a magnesium fire starting tool. So you take your knife, your multi-tool, whatever you use, scrape off pieces of this magnesium into the kindling that you've created, hopefully dry kindling. Scrape your knife or multi-tool over this ferro rod, which creates sparks. It lights the magnesium on fire. Magnesium burns very hot, starts a fire. You can build a fire for warmth, cooking, signaling, etc. So anyway, that's pretty much what's in this outer rear pouch. I completely screwed up, and I'm not going to go back and film this again. But the back pouch showed you everything down here. Let's get into the actual rest of the pouch. I wasn't even paying attention. That's my fault. But an emergency poncho, rain poncho. Now, these come in good for different reasons. Obviously, for yourself, it's raining. You can cover your pack if you don't want it over yourself. You can use it for part of your roofing if you have to build an emergency shelter. But an emergency poncho, they work. I've used them for all the purposes that I've stated. And they're cheap, like $1 or $2. Again, go to Walmart, you'll find them. And that goes right along with your typical emergency blanket, your space blanket. $1 or $2, throw it in there. You never know. Good for the exact same purposes, but from a medical perspective, they're good for retaining body heat to try to reduce shock and hypothermia, things like that. Take up no space, no weight at all. They're virtually they exist, but they don't exist in your, as far as weight's concerned, in your pouch or your pack. The other thing I carry always is some type of mask. This is a 3M N95 style, and this is not pandemic related. This is mostly for, like I said, I go in the wilderness and say there is a forest fire or things like that. It's always good to breathe. So this kind of filters out some of the toxins. It's just good to have. If you need it for a medical emergency, then fine, but I only carry those for wildland fires, forest fires, that type of thing. All right, so out of this larger compartment, in the rear compartment, I pulled out my field med kit, and this is by no means a trauma kit. It is just a field kit to temporarily provide medical aid, basic medical aid, until help reaches you or you get the injured person or ill person to help. So there's a chest seal, there's gauze pads, there's tape, there's gloves. I do have a SWAT T tourniquet, so I do have a tourniquet. Always important to have one of those around. Band-aids, you got your standard boo-boo kit, a sling, things like that. Nothing too big, because you don't want to be toting around a big med bag in your regular hiking pack, but this is enough to help you or someone else out in need. So that's what I carry. You make your own decisions. So again, do have a tourniquet, pretty important. So, and once again, I forgot. So I also carry in this, underneath the emergency poncho and space blanket, I keep several zip ties. They are good for establishing a shelter also for emergency repairs, from items on your pack to your footwear to anything you can imagine. But I do keep several zip ties. Again, they weigh nothing, take up no space. So, just an idea. Okay, last but not least, the main compartment, the big compartment. What do I have? What do I carry? And we'll start off right inside. Guess what? Another flashlight. This is a weather-resistant LED flashlight with a clip. It's bright enough. I can use it. I can hang it from a branch. I can hang it from the 550 cord we previously reviewed. And because it's LED, the batteries last pretty good time. Could use a glow light for that, but this is just another redundancy. And I keep saying that word. If I keep saying redundant, is that redundant? Asking for a friend. Anyway, the other thing in that same pouch is an emergency fishing kit. And yes, it's in an Altoids tin. And a lot of people do use these in their survival packs, hiking packs, go bags, get home bags. And as you can see, there's a little bit of duct tape attached to that, which is reusable. Basic fishing kit, some lines, some hooks, some sinkers, a couple, what do you call them, fake lures, things like that, but I can use live bait. And this can also double, because I know people are going to ask, what are you going to cook in? Well, I can use this to cook in if I have to. Dump out the contents and use it over a fire, usually like an A-frame type setup, and you can look that up. I can use this for cooking. So this is a multi-purpose, very small, lightweight item to carry that serves multiple purposes. So there you go. Little survival fishing kit / cooking tin and light. Alright, so there's probably going to be a few breaks in this part of the video because there's so much I have to get out of here. And again, I try to keep it minimalistic but realistic. So let's start with this. A military MRE, or meal ready to eat. And there's a big misconception or misnomer out there that this is a one-time sit-down meal. No, this is several shelf-stable food products that last a long time. You can eat portions and make it last more than one day. So I do carry one MRE, one meal ready to eat, in my pack. So again, I calculate this pack between 24 to 72 hours, and that's not including, if I run out of this, I can always turn to the fishing kit, hunting, things like that. So sorry for the ashtray, but a meal ready to eat. So very handy. One thing that I have that I carry, I added this to the pack last year. I have not used it or tested it. This is one of those small little survival tents, and it's kind of like an emergency blanket on steroids. I just have it in here because it's very inexpensive and lightweight. As you can see, it's still in the box, but I figured, why not? It's, again, goes to redundancy. So I've used the space blankets, the emergency blankets, and the emergency ponchos to build shelters during my survival training, and they worked. And I just figured, hey, if this doesn't work alone, it can work in cooperation with building a shelter out of natural materials, say fallen trees, branches of trees I cut off, things like that. So I have this too. This is a very new addition, the Gerber Pack Hatchet, that came with a Tac Pack subscription box that I received a few months ago. And it's been more than that. It's probably been 5-6 months ago. I like Gerber products, and I did the shortest field test of it ever. I just hatched it into a tree. It works. Very small. It is lightweight. I like the construction, but it's something of kind of a necessity to have as an extra, aside from my Glock field knife that also has a sawtoothed edge on one side opposite the straight blade to chop and things like that. And you can see there's some little serrations for grip and things. You can use it as a hammer too if you need to pound in sticks and things to make tent stakes, so to speak, for your shelter. But very small. I have big hands, and this thing fits right in. It's a good size. So I like this thing, and I decided to put it into my my hiking pack. So there's that. Now this would be considered optional to a lot of people, but based upon my not only professional experience but also my wilderness experience, this is a very small pair of Bushnell binoculars. They're basically the little field binoculars. I'm not going to take them out, but carried in our own little pouch. But it's always good to check out your surroundings from a distance, or to see whom or what is approaching you from a distance, so you can take whatever necessary action if needed. Also to locate another place to move to in advance. So I just carry these. Again, not a necessity, but just a personal decision of mine. All right, up next, I decided to put yet another Tac Pack subscription box item into my pack. Is a very small 5-liter dry bag. So this will be good for numerous things. So you can protect electronics, because of course if you're going hiking, you're taking a cell phone. I can put my portable radio in here in inclement weather to keep it safe, because electronics are sensitive to moisture. But I keep a little one in here. It's lightweight. It rolls up very nice, stays out of the way, and it is called a dry bag. And like I said, it's a 5-liter, so it's small, compact, and weighs virtually nothing. So I do have that in there as well. Well, what if I do if it's raining and it's too sunny out? Well, I carry a USGI or military boonie style hat, and it does have attachments. You can clip that this flashlight to it if you need to. You can whatever. You can attach things to it. It's adjustable. It's just a crushable, very portable, sort of weather resistant hat, but I carry that in there as well. Again, weighs nothing, takes up virtually no space. So good for protection from the elements. So it's always good to have a hat. All right, just pulled this out. Not gonna unfold it. This is a military USGI poncho, and it does not have the liner with it. So again, good from the elements, or to protect you from the elements. So instead of using the emergency poncho, which I would rather use in the shelter, I can open my pack, put this on over me and my pack, and be rain free or snow free. Not that I'm trying to be in those type of snow environments, but when I'm hiking. But yeah, military poncho, surplus poncho, very cheap, little weight, takes up little space, folds up, fits right in a pack. Highly suggested, but don't add your whoopee to it. If you're military, you know what I'm talking about. Don't add the poncho liner to it. That will take up more space and really unnecessary, unless you're hiking and in a winter weather type of environment. So I don't do that, and I try not to do that. So just your standard military poncho. These things are bigger than they look. They will cover me and the pack at the same time with no problem. And it does have a hood. So check them out. All right, real quick. I'm not a Blood, I'm not a Crip, I'm not a Gangster Disciple, I'm not MS-13, but I do have a bandana. Bandana. So bandanas are good for multiple uses, whether it's to wrap around your head to help yourself from, getting sweat in your eyes, having it in cold water to cool your head down, using it as a sling for first aid. I mean, look, it's nothing. It's cheap. Go to Walmart, spend $1, get a bandana. I don't care what color you choose, but they have tons of them, and it's good to have for multi-purposes if need be. Fire starting. Fire starting. Just saying. And just because I had space, I threw in some extra stuff from old military MREs, meals ready to eat, accessory packs. There's, as you can see, a couple pouches of what they consider toilet paper, a couple hand sanitizer or alcohol wipes. These I would consider used for fire starting material. And they fit, no weight. Again, there's no weight to these. And I have them wrapped in a Ziploc bag. Well, why do you have them wrapped in a Ziploc bag? Well, Ziploc bag also is used for water storage. I can pop these items out, fill this bag up with water, and have an extra water storage container. So dual purpose, again, redundancy. All right, so the last two items at the bottom of my pack, they kind of require some specialized training, which I have, but it wouldn't hurt even if you don't have the training to have them. That is some climbing rated rope and web, nylon webbing. You can use these for multi-purposes, whether it's rescuing somebody else, self-rescue, building a shelter, things like that. And you see I have the webbing in a daisy chain type of pattern that makes it more compact. This is probably about 20-25 feet of it at the most. This is 50 feet of climbing rated rope. It's basically firefighter self-rescue rope, but it's climbing rated. I do have a carabiner and a small descender attached to it in case I have to get down off of a high ledge and have no other means to get out of the situation or location that I'm at. So these are at the bottom of my bag, but I do have them. I am trained in them. If you need to understand how these work, look it up, readily available. But I do have this in my pack as well. A few quick end notes, caveats if you will. I am not sponsored by anyone that manufactures any products that I carry. I think I say that enough. This pack suffices. I have a couple of them and they work. That's all I can say. You've seen what's in mine, and again, this is not what they would advertise, like other YouTubers would advertise as a bug out bag or a get home bag or anything like this. For me, this is just a day hiking pack in case I run into trouble. I have it. Very lightweight. All the tools are there. All the tools work. I've used them all. I know they work. So this is my setup. And I do carry this 24/7, 365 in my truck because that's what I use when I go hiking in the wilderness. So I have this. So keep that in mind. You can make your own decisions, make your own choices. This is just what I carry. And again, as I said, 24 to 72 hours. This should last me just fine. Works for me. Thanks for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll catch you on the next one. Oh, please post your comments down below if you agree or disagree with anything that I have chosen to carry and use for a hiking expedition. Remember, a one-day hiking expedition. So bear that in mind. But again, thank you all for watching. Catch you on the next one.